When the COVID-19 crisis first started to unfold in New York, Broadway was one of the first to shut down. Well, now that shutdown has been extended through the summer, but the question is, what does it mean for future performances? Well, I spoke with Charlotte St. Martin earlier, the president of the Broadway League, about the potential impacts moving forward. Charlotte, thanks so much for joining us. So let's talk about it, because a big decision announced today by the Broadway League confirming the theaters are going to remain dark through Labor Day. How difficult of a decision was this to make?
Oh, this is just heartbreaking for so many reasons. It means our casts and crews are out of work till at least September. We know that that's going to be very, very hard on them. We know that probably many of the shows that were scheduled to open the 3 weeks and 4 weeks after March 12th may not be able to open. And we don't know how many shows will come back. So it's a really tough time for Broadway. We had a very vibrant season with a great mixture of plays and musicals, and we just don't know who's coming back at this point.
And so many people affected in all this. We were talking during our news meeting earlier, but Broadway has a lot to consider, because we're talking about cast and crew and so many people that are really involved in putting a production together like that. How are people doing? Because I see a lot of artists coming together to help that really tight-knit community.
Well, it is a community, and I think that's the most important word. And certainly the Broadway Cares, Equity Fights AIDS, and the Actors Fund are working hard to raise funds to supplement where they can the crises with our communities. But we have to remember that Broadway is a community that feeds a lot of restaurants and hotels and parking garages and other venues that are attractions in our vicinity. I mean, 65 to 75% of our audience is a tourist, any way you look at it, and tourists come in to see a Broadway show and use all of those amenities, and those people are also hurting. So our community that includes all of those people is definitely seriously impacted by these closures.
So where do we go from here? I mean, Broadway has a lot to consider in all this. I know you're working closely with the governor's office, suggestions on social distancing guidelines, but will there be full theater again? And will we be able to do it sometime after Labor Day, or are we looking at earlier in the year, the following year?
Well, we really don't know. We do know that we won't be back until it will be safe for not only the cast and crew, but the theater goers. Broadway is just not something you can socially distance. First of all, even if you could figure out how to make it financially work for the audience, which we can't without a complete overhaul of Broadway, you can't socially distance the cast or the orchestra. I mean, the orchestra in the orchestra pit, and there's a reason why it's called that. They're very cozy there. So we won't be back until we have solutions that will keep everyone safe. And so we hope that's sometime in September, but there'll have to be a health and science solution to making that happen.
I know you definitely have a lot to consider with all of it. You're working closely with the governor's office right now to make sure that happens. I appreciate the time. I know it's been difficult. Our thoughts to the Broadway community, cast, crew, and all of you as we work through this. But we're determined that the spirit of Broadway is still going strong on social media, and we try to keep it alive however we can. So thank you so much, because it's so important to the heart and soul of New York, that's for sure.
Thank you very much. Good day.